What's going on, guys? This is Alfie with Asian Persuasion 2008. What's your name and what'd you do today?
I'm Ethan Lindley, and I placed first at the Collector's Store Regional.
Okay, and what did you play?
I played Ryzeal Voiceless Voice, so something a little different.
All right, let's get into it.
Awesome. So we'll start with the Ryzeal engine. Pretty standard. 2 ice, 2 X, 2 sword, node, bonfire cross. These were awesome, especially for the pushers going second. They're good with the first turn combo, but I kind of viewed them more as like support for the Voiceless cards, and I'll show off some of the micro synergies later with the 2 engines. But that's it for the Ryzeals. Pretty standard 9-card package. And then getting into the Voiceless Voice, 3 low, Heart and Soul of the deck, best card, 2 Saphira, really good for pushing through hand traps. So like if you open Saphira plus low, you can push through a lot of the fair hand traps, and like even through Droll, you're ending on a couple interactions there. And then 2 Skull Guardian, Soravis. I did play the Old Man. So this is debatable. It definitely can be a brick, but I thought it was justified because there's a lot of combos. Like let's say you open Saphira plus Barrier. That combo would lose to Droll if you don't have this, but instead with this in your deck, you're able to dump the Ritual and end on multiple interactions through Droll. So that's one thing I heavily considered, was just like playing around Droll, or at least having some kind of game plan with Droll in mind. For the other Voiceless engine, I played 3 Barrier, Blessing, 2 Prayers, 1 Radiance. These are all pretty standard ratios. Barrier is insane in this deck because if you set up your Voiceless cards with Detonator, the Detonator can't be targeted. So the random nonsense, like the Tronuses, the Slayers, they can't hit the Detonator. So that's something to keep in mind. Those tech cards aren't as powerful, but it's still worth keeping in mind. They can't like draw Imperm for turn and like turn off the Detonator. So it's still, you know, super relevant having this on the field. And then some of the power spells, I played Pot, Pre-Prep, 1-for-1. So most Voiceless, they play 2 of this. Definitely a justification for it, but I wanted to play exactly 40 cards so I could see, you know, the 1-card bombs like X and low, but also some of the more powerful non-engine. And pre-prep, you don't want to open like too many of this plus Saphira, especially with Droll running around. So I felt very justified. Then this I included a bit late in the game. So I used to be trying out the new Vingolf's Blessing card. I found that card was only good when you're already playing. It's like if you're already seeing your Ryzeal cards and you're able to get to like the node send effect or the ice send effect, you're already in a pretty good spot. So like Vingolf, it just made the bad hands worse and the good hands not necessarily better. So I elected to play another 1-card starter instead. I was very happy with that decision. There's some awesome pushes you can do with this plus like Ryzeal cards. And then for the non-engine, I find like the fair hand traps, they're really hit or miss this format. So I just wanted to play 12 absolute bombs. I played 3 Nib, 3 Ash, 3 Fua, 3 Droll. One of the other reasons I played 40 specifically was to see these, you know, going second, like going against, you know, the Mitsus with these, and then these against Malice as well. And then Ash is very important to negate the Charmies. That part never came up, but you know, there were some instances where like I would Ash the 1 play and that was enough. So all of these were fantastic. I wouldn't change them out for anything. The other important consideration with Nib is like other decks might want to play 2, but this deck you want to max out on Nib because it doubles as a high-level light monster. So there's a lot of times when you need this to complete your ritual summon with like your more janky hands. So that's worth keeping in mind.
Let's do the extra deck.
Awesome. We'll get into the extra here. Token with the boys. And then for the rank 4s, Detonator, pretty standard. I played 2 duo so that I could dump 1 and play around Nib. It also comes up jumping the second duo so that you have a name in rotation. If like your X gets banished, you can still special the sword. There's a lot of malice running around, so it definitely comes up. One Eclipse. I actually never used this card once, and I was kind of happy about it because I considered putting a second one in. And this card never came up today. It just happened to be the combos I went into, or the game states. Never came up. I always sent either Duo or Aggregator off of X. And then Exciton. So really cool interaction with this that can hit people off guard. Exciton plus Soravis. So people might think they're safe from this card if they have, let's say, Imperm, or this came up, Malice in the Mirror. But like you chain Soravis to insulate the board wipe, and it ends up being really strong because they're not expecting it at all. Other stuff, Jugaris. Part of the first turn combo, this can like draw into Voiceless Engine, like your missing pieces, or like hand traps and stuff. Really strong. I tried to like incorporate it in the combo if I like only drew Ryzeals. Starring Knight. This came up a fair amount. Basically it reads, you can detach to special a light monster. Yeah, a light monster from your hand. So like if you've already normaled Ice, you can summon low off of this after already setting up your cross negate. So I found that to be really strong. There were times I didn't even go for Detonator. I went for the low instead with Starry Knight, because I felt like that board provided more insulation. If I had other hand traps and tech cards like Droll and Ash, I prioritized the Omni Negate and the on-field protection over the Detonator in some game states, and it really paid off, especially in the Ryzeal Mitsu match where he opened board breakers. I was able to shut that off with Skull Guardian. Other stuff, Code Igniter. This never came up. I would consider cutting it. Basically, this lets you just ritual summon if you don't have access to your other stuff. So like, if you just open like Ryzeals plus Skull Guardian, this helps like bridge the engines if you have no other way to ritual. This never came up. I'm not quite at the point where I would cut it though. I think it's important to run if like Impulse negates one of your effects to ritual summon. Then Tornado. This card is fantastic. Just being able to force out back row proactively and before you commit to your one of Detonator or your other cards that you don't want banished or removed. This card is fantastic. And then Aggregator and Typhon. This card never really came up, but it's traditionally very good in Voiceless Voice because you can set up Blessing with it or your trap with this card, so you can play later even though you're locked out of summoning. I found that to be important. And then the links, these never came up all day, pretty sure, but I did play this package. I found this to be important because it allows your low, if you open low plus Skull Guardian, you can full combo without playing into Ash or Droll. Since those cards are more common than Imperms, I felt it was justified to put this package in. It never came up, but I would not cut it just because, gotta respect the Droll and the Ash lines. And then this SP Dynamondo. These are standard. They didn't come up today, but in previous testing they come up. I would not cut them.
Onto the side deck.
All right, side deck. So starting off, we got the Malice Hate here, 3 Chaos Hunter, 3 Lancia. Yes, there's outs to this card, but they often require a lot of resources, so it still feels great to resolve. Like in my final round, he did out the Chaos Hunter with Bomber, but used almost his full hand to do so. So happy I played all of these. I went against either 2 or 3 Malice. Came up. Verulia, I never saw this card, but it's fantastic. I played against a couple like Ryzeal Mitsu decks. And then these, I wanted just a few board breakers because it's really good to see just 1 or 2 with like mostly engine when you like drop Charmies. So I felt justified playing these. And then for the going first cards, played Called By, Installation, double judgment. Really nice to like set up a detonator backed up with judgment with your half boards. And then I always drove this to the boss monster of the deck, Tikaboo. So the hidden tech, you side this going second against Malice or other decks that lose to it, because like you can just crack their board with engine. You know, they'll often have an overwhelming amount of follow-up if you don't have a card like this. So I felt it very justified to play and even side going second. It did come up where I went second against Malice, used Lancia to turn skip, and then on my turn I passed back. I was able to end on a very weird board, set this, flipped it up on the next turn, and proceed to win from there. But yeah, deck felt really clean. One thing, so you might be wondering about some of the synergies of the deck. The main thing is really just the insulation that both engines provide to each other. So like, for example, if you set up a detonator first, then let's say they're saving an imperm for whatever reason. You normal low, special low. If they try and imperm the low, detonator pop it, and then you set the barrier, go from there. And then additionally, as I mentioned, if you just do the voiceless stuff first, then all of your light Ryzeals are insulated. So even though it's not the case where like the engines necessarily bridge into each other, I feel like the additive effects of both engines and like the synergies in terms of the power level, that's really where like the differential comes in. It's not about like, oh, this engine perfectly bridges efficiently into this because of Feral Imps. Like, there's not a card like that, but the added power level, I think, pushes it over. And so like, there's games you'll play into Fua, you'll play into like, I played into double Fua at one point, and you still just didn't have enough pushes because I set up both the Ryzeal and the Voiceless, meaning like cross, detonator, Skull Guardian low, Sorvis. He had like 10 cards in hand, but everything is untargetable, and I have, you know, multiple summon negates from the Sorvis loop. So that's just overwhelming. Like, you might have 12 cards, but only so many pushes. And so like, that's why you can play into, you know, Charmies with this deck. But
That's awesome, man. Well, congratulations. Any shout outs?
yeah, first off, shout out to all the boys from St. Louis, you know, Collectors, Mystic, Yeti, really awesome community here. It's a pleasure to play. Like, all my opponents were fantastic, really good sports. Also, the boys from back home, Los Pepitos, you know who you are, the boys from Warehouse, for getting me back into the game.